Hello everyone, now I would like to talk about player's property and its customization, but first I would like to thank all the people supporting us and those who have already pledged. Thank you very much. Your help and participation are very important for us. We'll do our best for you. This video is dedicated to the basic information on management and configuration of player's property, with the example of a heavy frigate. The main goal for us is to create a perception of owning a real spacecraft, valuable for the player. Our approach is to create a feel of complete interaction of internal and external space of the object with the surrounding reality. Ships are constructed on the same technology as buildings, but able to move. Ships as well as buildings are destructible. Destructibility also means that objects can collide to destroy each other. Although, for example, if the strength of the hull will allow, the ship can fly right through the building and remain unharmed. Ships are also available for interior planning, for installation of external modules and equipment, and also can be captured, serving as a huge arenas for PvP battles. This means absolutely incredible experience of immersion in space battles. Inner space of the ship fully corresponds to the dimensions of the ship. Players can move not only inside, but also on the outer surface of the ship, and even be thrown out into open space and get to another ship independently. If, for example, a part of the ship is completely destroyed, in order to get to undamaged compartments, players will need to overcome this distance by the outer side of the hull and then repair damaged systems manually. And of course, they also can be subjected to enemy ships' attacks during this journey. And now I tell you what we do to achieve it. We'll go over the most important parts of the interface, and you get the overall picture of opportunities available to player. We make convenient interface that helps the player to understand the consequences of his actions. Such interface that not separate the player from the gameplay, but helps him. We are improving it constantly, and initially also designed for use on touch devices.
Here we can see the entire property of player. This houses, ships, vehicles, all objects have a common management and customization mechanics. We can see the overall state of the object, location, coordinates, and also total combat score that assesses the military potential of object. Combat score also affects the resulting experience player gets after destruction of such object. Player can specify a destination for the autopilot, and the ship will be able to come to any point of the universe. The ship will be paving the safest course and will be able to pick up the player even if he is stuck on an uninhabited planet.
In general, all objects owned by the player can function and bring benefits automatically. There are two different occupations, to be the owner and to be the manager, because objects can be rented out, to be handed over to the military campaign, and so on. The entire property of the player can be automatically self-sustained. But if the player will pay direct attention to his property, he will not only get specialized experience, but also he will greatly enhance the efficiency of its use.
This folding panel gives access to all settings and mods relating to a particular section of the interface. Settings provided by the upper buttons are a mandatory part of the game mechanics. The lower row consists of customizable mods, compulsory part of which we initially create ourselves. However, players also have the opportunity to use our API to create their own mods, modifications, connected through the game setting, mods displayed here. This is a very interesting point because such interface mods will give players a certain interactivity.
Modifications mods get access to a variety of game databases and display information processed by server-side players. Through mods you can add an interface macros to facilitate information reflection and even to change the appearance of the interface and objects. We think that modifications will be in great demand by community members to share internal information and players' data for different purposes. We will speak more about this question because thanks to that interactive system, players will get a lot of benefits from the modders.
So let's see what we have here. First of all, mods allow us to customize our property, ship, factory, home. Player can easily customize the look of the window and drag it to the right place. Work area can contain any number of windows and gives access to everything needed in one place so that the player can see at a glance how his actions affect the entire set of parameters. The main window allows us to switch between multiple functional views of the ship and we will see what we have in our possession. But first let's look what general view represents from itself. We see the entire ship and its main distinctive features. Here we see a ship in the X-ray to assess the location of floors and the transition points between them, which will, like everything else, set up independently. Ships, vehicles, buildings, all such objects can have different modules that can be changed and controlled.
For example, a ship or battle tank is not just a solid 3D model. It's a multi-piece 3D object with the main part and several secondary parts which can be changed depending on the use. Some modules as the main part may have a certain animation of moving parts. Some of these modules, such as frigate tail, may not only be disengaged but also can move independently to a concrete location. I mean that on the one hand, modules can perform independently specific tasks, and on the other hand we can always change the characteristics of the principal object of the spacecraft, and it can be very useful in certain situations. However, we can always gather all modules together, and modular structure of ships and buildings provide a huge tactical freedom to players, and we will talk about it also separately.
We can examine in more detail the characteristics of the ship. On the first tab, we see the most important characteristics of the ship and its description. Other bookmarks with information on arms, defense, energy, engine, crew provide more detailed information about the systems of the frigate. Characteristics are compared with the same parameters of the standard spacecraft of the same class in order to evaluate the potential of your ship. Initially, we reflect all settings and features in a certain basic format accessible to understanding for the casual player. I mean players who immediately want to enjoy the game. At the same time, experienced players will be able to explore any aspect of the game in more detail and to benefit from micromanagement.
Despite unprecedented depth on the gameplay, you can easily understand the basic principles of management. As a result, we want to get such interface that helps the player to understand the consequences of his actions and doesn't separate the player from the gameplay. The main thing we want is to open space and attractiveness of science fiction to people who deterred by dark and soulless screenshots and videos of space games, such games full of interfaces overloaded with numbers, with lists of obscure data.
So with the characteristics, we can see the most important data about the ship, including information about the commander. You can pass control of your ship to another player, for example, providing a ship for a participation in the military campaign. In general, all characteristics are interrelated, and change of some parameters will change a variety of others. The equipment shall be kept in a balance to get the best performance of the ship.
Even during the battle, the player will get a great freedom in management of his ship. Simple touch can reallocate energy from one shield to another, or to redistribute processing power of quantum cores from defense to weapons and so on. We want a personal player experience to influence the outcome of the battle no less than the possibilities of the ship. Control of the spaceship itself will be extremely fascinating occupation, considering also that lives of other players and their mercenaries depend from the actions of the player and his crew.
Besides, the larger the ship, the more advantageous will be transfer of the management to other players. So let's get to the customization of floors. For this, we need to activate the base module and the objects module. We can switch between floors and allocate space for equipment, engines, fuel tanks, control panels, passenger capsules, and stuff, and so on. Most of the interior space can be constructed by player, but there are some zones unavailable for setup and used for specific purposes. Cabins, hangars, special areas. The essence of the arrangement of the internal space consists in creating compartments, and this is a very fundamental part of the gameplay for us. Realized in simple and universal editor available to each player. Control of the ship, the organization of space and equipment, obtaining data on breakdowns and hacking. The source of that information is the compartment unit. To create a compartment, we need to go into build mode, create a new compartment, or select an existing one, such as a shuttle bay. We can see all the information about each compartment of the ship, its condition, installed equipment, space, and choose the armor material to make certain sections more resistant to destruction. Shuttle bay is located directly beneath the hatch cover associated with animation of the shuttle takeoff. Such places marked with a red line and associated with a specific ship animation. And such zones cannot be destroyed but can be extended and used only for a particular purpose. Let's add to the resulting free space another shuttle. As with all other equipment, just select the shuttle in the inventory and we see available space in all compartments capable to accommodate it. To equip the ship this way is very convenient. Compartments automatically arranges items to get as much free space as possible, so even the largest ships can be easily equipped and the interior space optimized. All equipment is automatically distributed by type and easy to follow, send staff to repair, to find the place object is located. I talk about it in such detail to give an idea of versatility and scalability of this approach, particularly in relating to the huge objects. We pass on the first floor. Landing platform is also excluded from the construction zone. All vehicles that will be in the hull may be caused by this platform and leave the ship. In addition to the standard equipment, we can place functional modules in the compartments, such as the landing capsule modules, staff or hull modules. Modules automatically occupy all the space of the compartment, respectively increase numerical characteristics. For example, we will increase the capacity of the staff module, just expanding compartment space. Now we can hire more staff and increase the rate of repair, and also boarding of the ship will be more difficult to implement. Space of not occupied bays can also be effectively organized and prepared for boarding. For example, setting obstacles and defense systems through special modes. Returning to talk about the modes, can say that players will be able to add and share skins of the environment with each other. Of course, only approved skins. That is, compartments, partitions, barriers, guns, all that can have any appearance. Players will be able to get any preferred kind of the interior. Although initially, each race has its distinctive interior design. So, move on to the management systems of the ship. All the equipment of the ship must be connected to the control panels, which must be distributed throughout the ship. Panels can be installed near the walls, outside the construction zone. If the equipment is located within the range of the control panels, it can be connected. Connected to the panel equipment can be controlled from the control room of the ship by players or NPC mercenaries. Players' abilities affect the efficiency of the equipment.
Presence of control panels caused by two reasons. First, the ship can be partly destroyed during the battle. The control panel damaged or also destroyed. In this case, all related equipment will be released under the control of the control room and will be available only in manual mode in the immediate proximity to the equipment. And the second reason is that control panel can be captured during the boarding. The enemy could get control over the ship equipment, for example, in order to open fire on players' lives from onboard guns. Thanks to this system, boarding of the ships and buildings becomes tactically exciting and meaningful. Players will fight for the key control points and defend them. And one more thing concerning the maximum number of players on board. Players and their NPC mercenaries will leave passenger capsules and take part in battle only if the limit of the maximum number of players will allow. But the death of participants will let new players to join the defense of the ship.
The last important aspect of any game object is its armor and external equipment, for example, guns, shields, engines. Here we can fill all the available slots. Equipment placed in the slot is subject to micromanagement and advanced settings. We will devote separate conversation to this. Objects destructible, so we can determine the entire ship armor and armor of individual parts. According to experience, the player can protect certain areas more using expensive and sturdy armor. If the armor is damaged, then the adjacent compartment will be locked, and all characters located in the compartment will be thrown into outer space. Inner space and equipment in the damaged section of the hull will be exposed to enemy attacks.
So we got acquainted with the main information on the managing and configuring players' property. We have not considered issues of micromanagement and settings of spacecraft systems and left it as a topic for the next conversation. Join us, and all of your advice and amendments will be heard. I thank everyone, and especially those who help us to add some sense to the gameplay.